Pastor Jones is with us. God lent him to us. We don't know how long we're going to have him, but I thank God for the season we have. Well, I present to some, introduce to others. He really needs no introduction. Touching him and say, put your seatbelts on, put your seatbelts on. I apologize. Touching him and say, take them off, take them off, take them off. He's a great preacher. I've heard him on a number of occasions. He was in revival this year. He's preaching all over. Amen. And I said, man, you got to close us out this year. So I want you to put your hands together, prepare to receive our own, under the pastoral name, Pastor Bruce Jones. Come on, sing that.
Amen. How good it is to be a child of God. I don't know what I would do. Thought about that this morning. I don't know how I would live in this world if I were not a child of God. The senior saints would say, I don't know what I'd do without the Lord. That may not be your testimony, but when you have rolled this, or raced this race of life, or lived this journey of life, there are some things that you bump into that you can't do nothing about. And if it was not for the option of calling God, we would have to deal with some things that we could not handle. Amen? So we reverence God because he deserves it. We love him, honor him. We honor our pastor, Pastor Johnson, First Lady Jane, amen, who have allowed us this precious privilege to preach. Amen. If the pastor lets you get up on December 31st, he has granted you a great privilege to trust your word on some people. He got a pastor for the next year. Amen. Because if you poison them, then before he can move them on an agenda, he got to heal them. So every time I stand here, I take it as serious as a surgery. If I get it right, someone will live. But if I get it wrong, someone will die. Amen. That said, help me celebrate my wife and daughter who are here with me. Amen. And I am so very blessed to have. Amen. 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 It's nice to not have to stand alone. Amen. But that said, I want to give you a word the Lord has given to me. Try to get this Easter speech out of the way. Come with me, if you will, to the Gospel according to Luke. Gospel according to Luke. And if it is your custom that you stand, please do so. If not, at least open the Bible. For I am not a Baptist preacher. I am a Bible preacher with Baptist convictions. Amen. When you get to Luke chapter number 13, look at verse number 6. Well, what it is that you are there, shout amen. Your Bible should read, he spake also this parable. A certain man had a fig tree planted in his vineyard. And he came and sought fruit thereon, and found none. Then said he unto the dresser of his vineyard, Behold, these 3 years I come seeking fruit on this fig tree, and find none. Cut it down. Why cumbereth it the ground? And he answering said unto him, Lord, let it alone this year also, till I shall dig about it and dung it. And if it bear fruit, well. And if not, then after that, thou shalt cut it down. I want to tag this text, extended time. You may be seated in the Lord's presence. Extended time. When I was a boy, I had the privilege of having a video game console that is outdated now, but I had a video game console, this first generation video game console called Atari 2600. Somebody else had that game too. I had an Atari 2600 and I had a few games. I didn't have every game, but I had a few games. But one of my favorite games is a game called Pole Position. Pole Position is a race car game in which you are racing against other cars during the race. And the ultimate goal of pole position is to get to the finish line. But after playing it for a while, I discovered, Minister John, that there is a provision in the game that'll let you keep racing even when you're at the back, if you can just make it to a checkpoint. If you make it to the checkpoint, it don't matter what position you are in. Your goal is to keep making the checkpoints, and if you keep making the checkpoints, you get a chance to make it to the finish. But particularly this game, when you get to the checkpoint, there is a banner that flashes on the screen and says, extended time. Since you missed it, if you made it to December 31st, 2017, the provision was put in your life that if you just made it to the checkpoint, you could keep going. Somebody in here knows that if you made it today, no matter how many people passed you up, no matter how many crashes you made, no matter how slow your car was, if you made it to today, you made it to God's banner that says extended time. Ought to have some people in here happy that it didn't matter who beat you here or who got here first or whose car was faster than yours. You made it to this checkpoint so you can keep going. Slap somebody a high five and say, I made it to the checkpoint. Ought to be some people in here glad because it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to get through 2017. This wasn't that year that the fake prophet lied to you in 2016 and said that you was going to get all the money in the world and that you was going to get a new car and that you was going to get a new husband and you was going to evade any trouble and that everything was going to be flower beds of ease. When you got involved in 2017, you realized it was going to be a hard year. It's the first year we had to deal with the president we got. Somebody ought to be willing to say amen about that at least. But God knew that he was going to be president this year and put a provision in your life and said if you just keep going and make it to the checkpoint, you can keep racing. Amen. Such is the presentation that we have in Luke chapter 13. Now, it's not my intention to be before you long. I'm going to try to get this text out and out of your way. Luke chapter 13, there is a man who has a fig tree planted in his vineyard. And he comes to check on the tree. And when he does, he's looking for fruit. He does not find any fruit on the fig tree. He checked on it 3 years, year after year. Still no fruit on the fig tree. So he says to the dresser, which is the keeper of the vineyard, hey man, I came and checked on this tree and there's no fruit on it. Cut it down. Why let it take up space in the vineyard if it ain't going to produce nothing? But the dresser turns to him and says, you're right, it's guilty, but give it another year. If you give it another year, I'll work with it. And if it produces fruit, then well. If it don't, then cut it down. That's the story. Let's go back and reveal the characters and then snatch some points out that are relevant to our walk with God. In case you missed it, the certain man in the text is God. The dresser in the vineyard is Jesus. Here's the bad news. The tree is all us. Which means the unfruitful tree in God's vineyard is all of us. Don't get upset over that. Just accept that God has allowed us to be in his vineyard even when we don't produce no fruit. I'm really glad that the production of fruit through this text does not stop us from being in God's vineyard. We're fruitless trees in a fruitful vineyard. But if we're gonna give this text any justice, then we have to, because one of the things that you find in church, once you give some bad news like you're the unfruitful tree, people have a tendency to kind of get quiet. And so let me prove my point. And then the people that ain't saying nothing are the people that are rebelling against the truth of their life. For lack of a better term, the fake Christian. And sometimes we come to church and become fake Christians because we won't face the reality of what we've been doing. And now, it's funny that we can see everybody else's unfruitfulness. But if I say all of us been unfruitful, then it ain't nobody to point your finger at. Watch this. If we're going to consider the unfruitfulness of the tree, then we have to consider the origin of the tree. Church, say origin. Now listen to me now. Fig trees are usually found in mountainous areas, but in Palestine, they're found along the sides of the road. What that means is fig trees are publicly accessible. That's what that means. That means, watch this, that in the event that a passerby needs some shade, he'll use you to cover himself. And in case you missed it, fig trees is good for covering sin. Y'all don't think I'm in the Bible? I don't know why, because I'm a Bible preacher. In Genesis chapter 3, when Adam and Eve get caught, they make skirts out of fig leaves. Because fig leaves is good for covering sin. I know you thought everybody liked you, but they really just hanging out with you because you're a Christian, so it'll cover up that they not a Christian. You got to be careful who you allow to hang out with you in 2018, because they really don't like you. They just covering up their sin. You're publicly accessible, but not only that, fig trees have figs on them. They have three fig fruitful seasons during the year. They have a harvest 3 times a year. The problem with that is that if you pick the fig tree too early, it messes up the cycle. Lord help me here. And so somebody picking too early will mess up the next season in the fig tree's life. Lord help me to talk to somebody in here. Could it be that somebody's been picking on you too early? Could it be that people have been picking on you and it ain't time yet? Could it be that they pick on you too much? In case you missed it while you're in the public, you can't stop people from picking on you. Help me, I'm almost done. See the way you're looking at me. Y'all don't get picked on, but people like to pick on. My daddy was saying like this: you've been picked out to be picked on. Lord. But when you're in public, there's nobody to stop people from picking on you. But I didn't get you there. Let me see. It's always a moment of tension when I'm preaching. God always gives me attention to preaching. You didn't, ain't nobody using you to cover their sin, and nobody's picking your fruit too early, or picking on you too much. Here's a free point. They'll pick you for their benefit and don't care what they leave you for you. I didn't get you. I see that lackluster way you clapping. Can I come one more? I can go another further. And if it's nighttime and a traveler needs to go to the bathroom, and you a tree on the side of the road, they can leave their mess mess on you. Lord help me. I don't have nobody. I know y'all ain't never been to the park and couldn't make it to the bathroom. The poor tree became the victim of your mess. Lord help me to talk in here. Could it be that it's some people that love to hang with you so they can leave their mess on you? They got a bad attitude, so they want to put it on you. They broke, so they want you to be broke. They lonely, so they want you to be lonely. A single drunk woman will get your wife drunk because she ain't got no husband. When you're publicly accessible, people can do to you what they want to do to you. Yeah. I know that ain't none of us. Slap somebody high five and say, that ain't me. I know that ain't you. Ain't nobody picking on you. Ain't nobody leaving no mess on you. Ain't nobody using you to cover their sin. But for some of us, we've been all of that. What a terrible, what a dark history that you got to live with if you have been publicly accessible. Well, here is what I've been trying to tell you. The text says a certain man. Not a man, because if Luke says a man, anybody could be the man. But when Luke says Jesus said a certain man, he's talking about somebody. Lord help me here. Which means he gives the person who owns the tree exclusivity over the tree. And I don't know about you, but I'm glad that God put his name on me. Lord help me here. He does not just put his name on you, he moves you. Text is tailored to teach us that he moves you from public access to private purpose. That ain't your point either. Text says that a certain man had a fig tree planted in his vineyard. Do you see that? A certain man has a fig tree planted in his vineyard. Let's put emphasis on it. A certain man has a fig tree planted in his vineyard. You with me? A certain man, one, planted a fig tree, one, in his vineyard, one. All right, you with me? This text takes a mean turn at the word planted. This word planted is not the same word that it is in the Hebrew, which we find in Psalms 1 when it says a tree planted by the rivers of water. That word means transplant, which is indicative of where it was taken from. But in the Greek translation of this text, the word planted means implanted, which highlights is indicative of where it got planted at. Since you missed it, when he moved you and planted it in his vineyard, he erased where you came from. It no longer matters where you came from. It only matters where you are. It's about where he put you instead of where you came from. Is there anybody in here that's glad that the people in here don't know where you came from? You got a suit and a dress on today and a sweet hair weave and a fade and your beard cut up and you're smelling good like Be Delicious right now, but the truth be told, if we knew where you came from, none of that would matter. But when God moved you, he erased where you came from. I don't know about you, but I shout by myself, thank God you don't know where I came from. I struggle with the black Christian because y'all be fake. Thank God we don't know where you came from yesterday. So the first powerful thing in the text is the implant. But the second thing, Pastor Johnson, that he did when he moved it is he gave it protection for production. Lord help me to talk in here. You don't see it? If he put you in his vineyard, then that means if somebody, he didn't make you unaccessible. He just saying if you're going to access this tree, you got to come in my vineyard. Lord help me. And there's no way to get to this tree anymore unless you get in my vineyard. You missing me, but I'm still coming. Not only that, he got a dresser in the vineyard. Which means you don't just got to get in the vineyard, you got to get by the dresser. Could it be, church, that the reason that you have not went through what you could have went through is because the person couldn't get in God's vineyard? Lord, help me here. Could it be that the reason that you ain't dead is because the dresser was protecting you from what could kill you? And Jesus is the dresser and the vineyard is the church. A man shouldn't get a woman unless he find her at church. No. You ought not be able to meet her in the supermarket and never come to church, and then she coming here talking about y'all getting married. And if I'm going to get you, I ought at least have to come by God. Lord, help me to talk to some people. That could it be that your relationships are not working because you keep getting people and keeping God out of it? Why don't you let God do the screening, and then you ain't got to worry about checking up on it. You ain't got to check his cell phone. You ain't got to hack his email. If you let God protect you, you don't have to worry about it. He gave it protection from production, but then Pastor Johnson, when he moved it, he increased the value of the tree. I know it's the last day. You saving your shout for tonight. I don't blame you. But before you get to the night, tonight you're valuable already. Since God moved you, he made you valuable. Can I tell you how? Anything that everybody can get holds no value. Now y'all don't make me talk about that. Anybody that's easily accessible ain't valuable. For real? I don't want anything or anybody that everybody got. I like exclusive stuff. Well, watch what he did. He took a fig tree and put it in the vineyard. He didn't take a group of fig trees and put them in the vineyard. He took one fig tree and put it in the vineyard. Which means he increased his value because he eliminated the competition. Lord help me. Lord help me. He increased his value. But here's the free point. Before we jump to the next point, I'm almost done. Y'all ready? Here's the free point. Touch somebody and say he got something for free. Fig trees that are moved, or us that are moved by God, have to get comfortable with being fruitful by yourself. See, you got to be careful when you need a group to be fruitful. You got to be careful when you don't see any value in yourself and think you need somebody to be valued. Well, honey, let me tell you, you're valuable because first God loved you enough to put his name on you. Because when he moved you to his vineyard, you're his because you're in his. I ought to have some help in here. But not only that, you're valuable because there's none like you. Many like you, but only one of you. That's how we all got a different fingerprint. God loved you so much till he only made one you. Touch somebody and tell him, I know you, but it's only one me. Lord, help me here. And I'm going to be all the me I can be in 2018, because if God loved me enough to make me exclusive, then I'll live exclusively. Tell somebody, here go that tension. God, the owner, the certain man, moved the tree from public access to private purpose in order to give it protection for production, and gave it value. Planted it in good ground, right? But the text says that when God came to check on him, that he didn't find any fruit. Now, it's dangerous, church, to let God walk up on you and you are barren of fruit. Because Jesus proved that. Because on that last week in Jerusalem, he killed a fig tree for not having figs on it. So it's only right that if his father comes across a tree with no fruit on it, that he would be willing to kill it too. And see, this is where the fakeness needs to leave. Because when he came to check on you, you didn't have no fruit on you. After all he did, are you meaning to tell me, after everything God did for you, you still don't have no fruit on your tree? I knew wasn't going to be no shouting right there. Your suit ain't no fruit. Your money ain't no fruit. Your car ain't no fruit. Your house and bank account ain't no fruit. Your fruit is whatever you produce for the kingdom of God. So take 30 seconds and do a retrospective look at yourself and see how much have you done for God. Really, when God came to check on you, he had the spirit of Janet Jackson. He said, what have you done for me lately? Go on and shout, stand up now. God has not gotten out of you what he has invested in you. And I know that hurts, but the truth be told, face it and let's do something about it. All right, Pastor, I need to pause and highlight something that you've been preaching for the past month. He said he's been talking about the diversity of gifts, right? What good does it do to have a gift that nobody ever sees? Really? What good does it do? I don't care. Listen. I got some stuff for Christmas, but what good would it do if I couldn't bring it out the house? How would my wife be glorified for the sweater she bought me if I don't never wear it to church? Okay, all right. See the fakeness? See, you don't realize that God has been so good to you. To some of that goodness ought not be locked in your house. Some of that goodness, training, love, mercy, tenderness, temperance, long suffering ought to be evident when you come in here too. All right, the tree is not fruitful. It's not fruitful. And the problem is, he gave it time to be fruitful, because the text says he gave it 3 years. That's odd, because a new fig tree takes 3 years to be productive. But when he moved this tree, it was already a full-grown tree, which means he shouldn't have had to wait 3 years. But in fairness, he gave it as much time as he gave every other tree. Lord help me here. Which means there ought to be some fruit on your tree, because the Lord has given you time to be fruitful. Right? Watch this, then he gave it what it needed to be fruitful. Because the text says he put it in a vineyard. Vineyards don't have hard ground, they have soft ground. And that soft ground makes it easier for the roots to grow and get deep. Which means he gave you good ground, he gave you protection, and he eliminated the competition. Which means, church, after he's given you all he's given you, ask yourself, what is it that you're going to give back to him? All right, I know. Let me say this and then I'll jump to the next point, which is uncomfortable, so I may as well just keep hammering, right? You know why this tree ain't fruitful? Pastor Johnson, we may need to get me a screen because I'm going to get stoned when I say this. You know why that tree is not fruitful? The tree is not fruitful because it's doing in the vineyard the same thing it was doing in the world. Lord help me. You know what it is? Nothing. God's vineyard is so potent and powerful. So all you got to do is just do something. Lord help me. Touch somebody and tell them, why don't you just do something? If you do something, it's more than you was doing before God saved you. And since he saved you, why don't you just do something? Here's another free point. You can't keep acting in church the way you did in the world. If you was ignorant in the world, stop. Don't come to the church and be ignorant. If you was loose in the world, don't come into church and be loose. If you was lazy in the world, don't come in here and do it. Listen, check this out. It's some stuff that wasn't sin that you need to stop doing. Lord, help me here. Because it identifies you with the person that you used to be instead of the person that you are right now. And here it is. Stop using the stuff that you can't do no more. Lord, help me to talk in here. You can't drink because you got a bad liver. You can't smoke because your lungs is full of cancer. You can't go out and run the street because your strut then turned into a stroll. Don't act like you doing something because you don't do what you used to do. You can't do it. For real? I'm 48 and there's some stuff I can't do. I wish I could still dunk. I wish I could still go to the rack the way I used to. I can't do that no more. I got to shoot the jumper now. All right. So we got the origin of the tree, and then we got the unfruitfulness of the tree, but then we got the intercession of the dresser. Lord, help me here. If you look in the Bible, when he didn't find fruit on it, he said, cut it down, right, Minister John? But then the intercessor says, no, give it another year. And then he gives a reason why. He said, let me dig around it and dung it. Do y'all see that in the Bible? All right, watch this, watch this, watch this. What he does is he offers the owner a process for productivity. Lord, help me. That's what he does. He offers him a process for productivity. And so what he does is he makes an agreement with the owner on behalf of the tree. Let me try it again. The dresser, who is Jesus, makes an agreement with the owner, who is God, on behalf of the tree. All right, try it. Here, you got it? I got one on this side, I got one. The dresser, who is Jesus, makes an agreement with the owner, who is God, on behalf of the tree. I'll try it one more again, just one more time. The dresser, who is Jesus, makes an agreement with the owner, who is God, on behalf of the tree, which is us. Do you know what that means? That salvation didn't have nothing to do with you. Lord, help me on this. Salvation is an agreement between God and Jesus for you. That's why Jesus used the tree, because the tree can't participate in his own salvation. Lord, help me here, because the tree is doing the same thing now that it was doing before he got saved. Okay? All right. All right. Listen, I know where your stress and your tension is coming from, but you don't get it. If you're guilty and you go to court and you go before the judge, if you got a good lawyer, the good lawyer will not try to make you innocent. The good lawyer will just cut a deal that makes sure you don't go to jail for what you did. But it didn't have nothing to do with you. The grace on your life is that the lawyer you have chose you, you didn't choose him. He saw you in trouble and knew that he had some kind of influence on the judge. And so he already knows what the judge will accept and won't accept. So when the dresser comes to the owner and says, let it alone another year, he already knew that he was going to let it stand based on his relationship with the owner. Lord, help me here. Jesus is always in good standing with God, and that's why he makes his intercessions for you. The scripture says he sits at the right hand, Lord have mercy, of the Father, and makes intercessions for you. And if that ain't your shout, you would all be, because you ain't that good that God should look over your sin. It's because he loves Jesus. All right, here it is. Here it is. He gives a process for productivity, and this is what he does. He said, let me dig around it and dunk it. Then we're done. Y'all ready? He said, I'm going to dig around it and dunk it. I'm going to dig around it and dunk it. Digging around means he's going to bust up the ground that's around it. Dung is the Bible's word for manure, which means it's fertilizer, right? When he says bust up the ground is in, it seems like it's negative. It seems like he's taking something away. But really, he's taking you away from something. He's setting you free from what you're rooted in. Lord, help me here. There is some stuff in your life that the Lord is busting up and separating you from because it's not good for your fruitfulness. And so what he has to do is free you for what's holding you in the same place you've been in all through 2017. But finally, he said, I'm going to dunk it. It means that the stuff that stank in your life, you cannot give the devil credit for it. It is Jesus that's putting stinky stuff in your life because it's good for your growth. Which suggests once I set you free, I got to do something to you to force you to do what you've never done. Because this tree has never had any fruit on it. And so God has to do something that ain't been done so he can get out of you what he has never got. And so what Jesus did is Jesus made an agreement with God to cause some stress in your life that's going to force you to become fruitful in 2018. All right, here it is. What that means, church, I'm done. What that means, church, that means that you didn't get your time extended because you was bearing fruit. You didn't get your time extended because you were going to bear fruit. Your time got extended because of the agreement that the dresser and the owner made. Because if you watch the text, he said, give it a year so I can work on it. Lord, help me to look at it. He didn't say give it a year so it could be fruitful. He said, give it a year so that I can work on it. You know what that means? That means that the Lord has made a vow with his Father to work on you. And you're asking me, why would the dresser and the owner make an agreement for a tree that's doing the same thing? Well, the reason that the agreement is made is not because of the capability of the tree. Can I get a witness in here? It's not because that the ground in the vineyard was not good. Oh Lord, what it really is, it's because of the power-packed portfolio of the dresser. Can I get a witness here? If Jesus is the dresser, God knows that he can take 2 fish and 5 biscuits and feed 5,000. Can I get a witness in here? He can meet a blind man, spit and touch his eyes and give him sight. Can I get a witness in here? He can walk into a funeral at Maine and touch the casket. And anything that he works on, it turns around and becomes productive. Can I get a witness? It could be a woman in church who cannot straighten herself out, and he can touch her and she'll be made straight. Can I get a witness in here? Some of y'all still sit down, so let me see if I can get your shout. This is Jesus and God in a tree on the side of a mountain. Can I get a witness? I said this is Jesus and God making an agreement about a tree on the side of a mountain. Well, over 2,000 years ago, on the hill far away stood an old rugged cross, and on that cross, Jesus did die. Can I get a witness? Touch your neighbor and tell them I'm alive. I have extended time because Jesus took responsibility for my fruitfulness. Shout yeah!